And we are back with West Ham versus Stoke City Matchday preview. We have Stoke City coming to the London Stadium on Monday night. Welcome back to a very different match preview from Irons United. Today we are doing a preview live whilst the football results are coming in, and we'll give you a bit of an update on the scores as we go along. You are here, of course, for the West Ham Stoke City preview as Stoke City come to the London Stadium after today's great result with Southampton versus Chelsea. You can see the scores above us, and it was 3-2 to Chelsea after Southampton taking the lead and going ahead. So, you know, a bit of squeaky bum time as West Ham fans, but Chelsea pulled through and done the London rivals a bit of a favour today. So West Ham are 6 points clear, and we've got a really good chance to open up a bigger gap on Monday Night Football. As you can see, I'm joined by Stel and Luke. Stel, thoughts on Stoke?
It's another crucial game, even though that we've got this cushion now after the last two results. I think if we get a positive result on Monday night, and positive for us, meaning it should be a win.
Yeah,
I think that'll be us more or less secure. And I know that sounds a little bit premature, but it'll mean that Stoke are further down in the mire. Looks like West Brom are gone. I think they're losing 1-0 at the moment. So they're going to be there or thereabouts gone. And then it'll end up being probably 3 or 4 teams that are still down there, trying to keep out of the last bottom place spot. So for us, it's a crucial game. Hopefully we can keep the momentum going for the past 2 games and get a good win. And I think that'll be us just about safe. I hope I'm not speaking too soon, but I feel that that'll be the case.
You can see, if any of you are watching it just now, we've got some of the results coming in as we're speaking just now. So you can see that Swansea are getting beat by Everton. Obviously, you've said it earlier on that Southampton got beat. Burnley are beating Leicester. That doesn't really have an effect on our game at all. But the main thing is we have a 6-point gap in the bottom 3 from Southampton. Look, do you think we're out of the woods even if we don't get a victory, or we do get a victory? Is that enough? Do we? I mean, Southampton. I mean, how do you rate them?
Can I just say before I start, I've got a different room today, and the lighting's better, and yet my face still looks orange on this bloody screen. But anyway, okay, cannot help this thing, can I? Yeah, let's stay professional. Back to the question. I think we are more or less are safe. I didn't expect this to get a result against Chelsea on Sunday, but we played better than I thought we would have done. I think it's a result that has kind of surprised a lot of the teams around us as well. But relegation scraps, you know, if I'm honest, it's a bit of a roller coaster, because look at Southampton. They should have beaten Chelsea in the early game, 2-0 up, and they fought and they go and lose 3-2. So, you know, even though the Stoke game is still a massive game for us, because results can change at a moment's notice. We can't get too cocky against any team that we play. So, I think we're safe at the minute, or we're thereabouts. But it's West Ham. Anything can happen. So I'd like to get the concentration at least.
I think that's the thing that kind of freaks me out and probably freaks us all out as West Ham fans, is with the amount of games to go, that we know how quickly the season can turn around again for a negative. And I kind of do worry slightly the fact that well, I shouldn't worry. We've got a 6-point gap from Southampton, but it's just typical West Ham. We come up against a team like Stoke who are struggling, and the cat's made the appearance still. We were waiting on him. And
United mascot.
And we were, I don't know. I just have this little, I don't know. I just don't feel that comfortable yet. And maybe a victory over Stoke and taking us 9 points clear, really that should open up push us well away from the relegation zone. When it comes to Stoke City, still, should we fear them? Are they on free fall?
I think I'm looking at their squad at the moment, and I'm trying to work out who's going to be a danger against us. And the only player that screams out is Shaqiri.
Yeah.
I'm sort of going through their midfield and their striking and their strikers, and I just genuinely can't see anybody else. And again, I hope I'm not speaking too soon, but I genuinely can't see anybody else apart from Shaqiri that might cause us problems. I think Stoke are one of those teams where it's interesting because we don't have a great winning history against them. We've drawn a lot of games against them in the past.
Yep.
So they could be one of those teams, one of those sort of bogey teams. But the form that we're in at the moment, and I know it's only 2 games, and we didn't play great in the first half against Chelsea, but we turned it around in the second half. We were a bit more composed in midfield, and the form that we showed in the previous game, I think we should have too much for them. And Shaqiri's the only one I can think of that might give us any kind of problems at all.
Look, history kind of states that. I mean, I agree with you still on that, but history does state that in the Premier League, when you come to the results end of the season and it's a relegation dogfight, that some teams, if not 1 or 2 teams, start to pick up a bit of form. And with West Ham currently sitting where we're sitting, 6 points, potentially if we beat Stoke, go 9 points clear. But then we've got some of the other bigger sides in the league coming up against us again, with still Man City, Manchester United, Arsenal to play. Does the idea of a team getting a resurgence of the season, trying to save themselves from the drop, kind of fear you at all?
Well, yeah. I think that it's like I always say with West Ham, it's never a given who you're going to beat or who you're going to lose to, whatever. Like we could lose against Stoke on Monday night. Hopefully we don't, and then go and beat Arsenal. It's not beyond us. We have done it in the past, but there does seem to be this feel good factor around the club at the minute, which is always happens when you start winning games and whatever. Whether that's just us being fickle or whatever, but hopefully there is a resurgence. I hope you're meaning us by that in that question, and I'm not talking about waffling on about nothing. But no, I think we've got a bit behind us, and I'm not sure Stoke are really going to have enough to go against us on Monday night. But I think we can beat. Why not go hell for leather against the big teams as well? They're there for the taking.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think you mentioned are there any teams having a resurgence? It looks like it's us. That's what Lucas seems to have just picked up on. I can't. Palace can probably go on a little run.
Well, they're currently beating Brighton 3-2, I think.
Right. Okay. Yeah. But you look at other teams down there. Huddersfield aren't doing that well. Stoke aren't doing that well. Palace can sort of like a little bit like us. 1 minute they'll win, next minute they'll lose. So I think the resurgence especially after Sunday's result against Chelsea, could well be us.
Yeah.
We win on Monday. That's 7 points in the last 3 games. And then, as Luke just said, then why not just go for it against the big boys? No one gave us a cat's hell chance against Chelsea. We've got 4 points out of them this season, which is excellent. So who's to say that we can't get another point or 2 when we come up against, say, United, Arsenal, City? No reason why not.
Well, there's been another goal in the Premier League today, and it's Swansea have just equalised at home against Everton. Yeah. Just waiting to see who the goal scorer was. But
doesn't matter at this point. They've scored.
Where does that? How far down are Swansea in the league? Where are they?
Right, I've got the table now.
You've got the table in front of you.
Sort of front it to the camera, if you can see that. Well, it's a very good screenshot, but I'll read it out as well. Basically, we're 14th on 34 points. Brighton are on 35, just obviously 13th. You've got Palace. This is all currently. Just below us on 34 points. We're level with Palace. Swansea are below Palace with 33 points. Huddersfield are below them, 33 points to them, to joint on points as well. And then Southampton and Stoke Southampton got 28 and Stoke have got 27. So it's West Ham, Palace, Swansea, Huddersfield, Southampton and Stoke. We're joint on Palace and 34. Swansea are joint with Huddersfield and 33. And then Southampton are on 28 and Stoke 27.
Yeah.
So if Swansea actually win, they go above us, and that's the only team that can go above us today.
Yeah.
From what I can see.
And
right now, yeah.
What's the score at Huddersfield?
They're currently
Huddersfield
drawn.
is 0-0.
So if they win and Swansea win, then they can go above us just now.
Right.
Crystal Palace.
Okay.
That's what I'm saying. I'm saying it's so close.
But
the
biggest thing to look at though is the gap between the bottom three, and the gap does sit in our favour, which is a positive thing. But going back to the West Ham, there's talk of Lanzini being back fit, James Collins Ginge back fit, and also Mr. Andy Carroll. Still, what would you do with the three lads that I've just mentioned?
Put them on the bench. Possibly, if you're going to put any one of those three in the starting lineup, it'll be Lanzini. But what I'd actually really like to see on Monday night is Hernandez to start. With an Artevich.
Please.
I'd like us to take the game to Stoke on Monday night. I'd like us to be 2-0 up by half time, and by actually getting there, you can probably only put that pressure on if you've got Arnie and Hernandez on. So I would bench Carroll, Collins, and Lanzini, and then just bring them on if and when's needed. But I really wouldn't start any of them. Also because they're all coming back from injuries, and what keeps happening with us throughout the whole season. Someone comes back from injury, comes back too soon, and before you know it, they're off injured again. So I'd have them benched and have them in reserve should we need to bring them on throughout the game.
Yeah, I think. When it comes to Lanzini, I believe he was reasonably fit for last week against Chelsea, and they decided to rest him for the game potentially for today. But the results have gone in our favour. And in my opinion, it will probably be that Lanzini might get rested again, and with the opportunity to come on as a sub. But talking about another interesting player, one that's not been around and eventually found his way back into the West Ham squad before the end of the season, it's Mr. Andy Carroll. Look, it's not a bad thing to have him on the bench.
No, I'm a fan of Andy Carroll's. I don't really like the sort of the player, his professionalism and all that sort of stuff. So I'm not entirely sure he's injured just through physical injuries. I've got my own conspiracy going on there personally, but there you go. I think that with us right now, with all these players coming back, Andy Carroll's brilliant especially for a super sub, to just get him in the box and start pumping balls in there, especially if you're talking defence as well, head the balls out from corners and such and such. But for me, I kind of right now wouldn't put any of them back in the team. I love Lanzini, don't get me wrong. I rate Lanzini a lot more over João Mario, for example. But why fix what ain't broke right now? There's no real injuries at the moment to say that we have to get the new fit players in to take over from the unfit players. We've got a win from our last game. We just drew against Chelsea, an unexpected result, and we got Stoke, who are more or less down and out anyway. And Artevich is going to be running the show himself anyway. And it's like one of the things. Well, do you really want to keep pushing these players back into the team just because they're fit? Do we really need them right now? Hugo, for me personally, deserves a bit of a run out. Show what he can do. He's a bit of a target man himself, not obviously on Andy Carroll's level, but I kind of think, well, if we rush Collins, Lanzini, Carroll back, are we just going to see a repeat of what we've been seeing all season, where they come back for a few games and they're injured again? Don't forget, Collins is still fighting for his place to get new contracts, and perhaps he does need to be included. With Andy Carroll, if he plays, hopefully he plays another great game, but as always, we'll find out 3 days into the week that he's got another injury and he can't play again. So it's one of them, really. So yeah, hopefully they do come back and have a good game, but I'm not bothered, to be fair, right now.
There's been there's been another goal scored, and it's Leicester, Burnley 2, Leicester 1, Jimmy Vardy. I know it's got no relevance to it.
Jimmy Vardy.
Sorry, go on, still.
Yeah, on Andy Carroll. I'm not a fan like Luke is, I'm afraid. I really would like to see the back of him at the end of the season, but I know that ain't going to happen. I think he's coming into his last season next season of his contract. And if there's anyone that might want to take him, I think we should just cut our losses. You know, I know he can be a great player on his day and score fantastic goals, etc. And he's one of the best headers of the ball. We've heard it all before, but you know, he just hasn't played enough games. You know, for us. Every season he gets injured, and you kind of he's the forgotten man for me. Luke, you're absolutely right. What ain't broke, you know, don't try and fix. And for me, I'd also like to see Hugill have a run out. But if Carroll is so close to breaking back into the first team, that means Hernandez won't. It means it will not. Carroll will go above Hernandez because that's Moyes' way of thinking. You know, and there's rumour that Hernandez might be leaving at the end of this season, which is what a shame.
Yeah.
You know, we've just managed to get a bloody decent striker in wearing the West Ham shirt, and because of the way we're set up, he's likely to leave. And if we end up losing Hernandez and keeping Andy Carroll next season, that is really, I'm sorry, is beyond a joke.
It is a little bit written. I feel that it's slightly written in the stars for Andy Carroll, though, because he has been missing for most of the season. He has got himself fit again. There's the potential there that he will score a few goals.
Of course.
Tempt the fate, tempt the board to keep him.
Yeah. We'll
keep him, and as you have said, Stel, we'll say cheerio to Chicharito, one of the best finishers in Europe right now. And we're back to square one again, and we've kept Andy Carroll because I'm on the same level as you still. I am a fan of Andy Carroll. That's the thing. But I want us to get rid of the guy. I'm a fan of him. I'm a fan of him when he's fit because I struggle to see how you can't be when he is fit and he's on form, because he does become unplayable. But the biggest question, the biggest issue we've got as West Ham fans is he doesn't play enough games for the amount of money he gets from our club, and that's to the detriment of players like Chicharito. Then absolutely he needs to go, because that's where I've stated all along we need a big clear out over the summer, and I think you are all the same. We've had all these discussions in our chat about who needs to go, and there's quite a lot of players we think that need to go and bring in. But when it comes to Chicharito, I mean, can David Moyes not play him? Can he really? I mean, I wouldn't put it past them, but I don't feel that he can genuinely turn round to Chicharito on Monday night and say, no, I'm not starting you. I think he has to start.
Yeah, he's got a great opportunity to start him on Monday. It's the ideal game for Hernandez to start, because in a way, as much as it's still a must-win game, the pressure's off a little bit, and a player like Hernandez and Arnie, as you said, Luke, Arnie's going to run the show on Monday night. You just know he's going to be up for it.
Absolutely. Yeah.
You can just see those two creaming it on the pitch on Monday night. You know, and don't forget Arnie set up Hernandez for the Chelsea goal. You know, it was those two that were and there's no saying. I know. Moyes quite favours the Lanzini Arnautovic link up, but who's to say that that can't be added to with Hernandez on the pitch as well? So yeah, but you're right, and you know, Carroll's going to come back. He's going to score 2 or 3 goals. Everyone's going to say, "What a wonderful player he is! Here's another 3-year contract. We've missed you, son." And then as soon as he kicks another ball after he signs a contract, he'll be out for the rest of the season again. And it'll be one of those things again where we'll start the new season without Andy Carroll yet again, and Hernandez will end up going to play for another team, whether it be in the Premiership or another team in Europe.
Yeah.
And it'll be an outrage. You know, it will be a real shame because Moyes can't see himself, you know, utilising Hernandez in a proper way. But anyway, let me not rant only about Carroll.
But we've seen what the potential of the Arnautovic-Chicharito partnership with the players in behind them can do, and then when they were gaining momentum collectively as a unit going forward, they then got dropped, or Chicharito got dropped. We lost momentum, and things were all changed again. Then he came on and he scored a fantastic goal against Chelsea from a fantastic assist from Arnautovic. it's a golden opportunity, like you said. Still, it's a golden opportunity for our club to go on and give Chicharito a run of what, 8 games now in a row, just to go. Because the other thing I fear is if he does start with Chicharito, that early in the second half, if we're still sitting at 0-0, we'll make the substitution, and that's when Chicharito goes off, and that's when we should never be subbing a player with that ability. As we can see, he comes on in the 70th minute and the 73rd minute. That was a tough goal that Chicharito took. That wasn't a particularly easy goal that he scored. There was about 3 or 4 players in front of him, and he picked it inch perfect into the bottom right hand corner. So
absolutely.
But what I would like to see, and I think I wouldn't be surprised, also, because the rumour is that Lanzini was fit for last week. He's been in intense training this week. That he does start. And that would give the opportunity for Chicharito to drop to the bench, and that's the thing I fear the most, because I think Lanzini needs to be on the bench to start with.
Only if can you actually see him playing both Mario and Lanzini? It's possible that he might drop Mario for Lanzini, and still keep Hernandez on. But Moyes doesn't think the way we like 95% of fans think. So but you're right. Yeah.
But based on Hernandez, what you said there, Anton, just before I forget to say this, you're saying if it's 0-0 or half time kind of thing. If we play the way I think personally we should do, is if we shouldn't be trying to get a 0-0 at half time. We should be bombarding Stoke to get goals. We should be doing, getting Masuaku to put balls in like he did for an hour. We should be doing, pressing football, attacking football, because even though Stoke might want to go on themselves, they're not going to be attack all the time. Just build like this unit. And ever since Pulis was their manager, they haven't really changed. And I think that we've got to try. It should be the mentality is that if the ball's there, Hernandez could score. And the mentality we should be get the balls in there for Renatovich and Hernandez to score all throughout that first half, just to try and get the flowing, to get us thinking, okay, we need to just not take this game for granted that we were up. We need to still go out and win it. I can't see Renatovich letting us drop our guns either, to be honest with you.
Yeah, he's coming up against his old club, as we all know, and he always seems to be. He is the informed player. He rises to these occasions, and I think he will continue to rise to the occasion against Stoke. But if we, and I'm starting to feel more confident that we're going to stay up. And if we do stay up, and the current teams do go down, there is a crop of players in those squads that I would like West Ham to go in for, of which one, maybe I'm getting ahead of myself, but why not? I'm just going to bring it up. But one in particular you mentioned earlier on still is Shaqiri. Is he the sort of player we should be going for? Can he add anything to our squad? Can he add anything to our team? Can he take us to that next level?
I know. When we chat in our WhatsApp group, you lot love Shaqiri.
Yes.
And he's a great player. He's a good player. But I wouldn't be so bothered if we didn't have Shaqiri. There are a lot of other players. I think maybe I'm looking at it from the context of what positions do we really need to fill. We really need a right back. We really need another centre back. We really need another holding midfielder. If Hernandez goes, we really need a striker. And given our goalie situation, we could end up with no goalie. So those, for me, those 5 positions are crucial, and not one of those are Shaqiri's positions. So I'm looking at it from that context. So there are other players in the Stoke team, the Sunderland team, in the Stoke team, in the Southampton team that we could go for before Shaqiri, purely because of the positions that I think we need to strengthen on. Right back, we need a right back. We need a central defender. We need a keeper. We need a holding. We need a striker. So yeah, he'd be a nice luxury to have. But then that means someone like Lanzini will be on his way if we end up buying Shaqiri. That would be my thinking.
Still, and see when it comes to the shake-up that we all think that West Ham need, is that shake-up that's needed replacements for current players, or a shake-up in terms of style of play? Because if you look at if you currently look at Manchester City now, I'm not trying to compare West Ham, but or Liverpool. I'm trying to compare the style of players that they've got. You know, we tend to set up with the kind of two holding midfielders, the Kouatis, the Nobles, who don't particularly complement each other each game.
Yeah.
Is that a fault? I mean, we've been lining up for that for 3 years, and it's not really. Yeah.
It's both. We need a shake up because we've got players that aren't performing, and the likes of Kouyaté, who we've all loved in the past, only now sort of plays plays one good game for every 5, 6, 7 games he plays badly. Noble, he's getting older and he's slowing down even more. I think we need our whole midfield replacing. We need a holding midfielder. We need an attacking midfielder, and we don't. You're right. We don't necessarily have to have 2 holding midfielders. But the only reason why Moyes has tried to do that throughout the time he's been there is because our defence has been so poor. And which is why I said we do need a shake up. We need to get there are going to have to be some hard decisions made of some players that we've got in the current squad that we're just going to have to let go. Kouyaté, I've loved Kouyaté. I've always been a fan of his, but he's one of them. Noble shouldn't be starting every game. I'm not saying get rid of him, but shouldn't be starting every game. Our defenders, Reed, he's always injured now. Creswell, what a poor season he's had. So there's quite a few players that you could look at and say it's time for them to move on. Maybe they've been at West Ham for too long. But I agree, the style of play as well is important. But I think if we keep Moyes, we know damn well it's going to be a hard-working squad with little flair. We've seen that, and we know that's what will happen if Moyes stays as manager.
So if we,
Huddersfield just scored.
Okay, there you go.
Huddersfield just scored. Just to, yeah. Well, that matters, but it does.
We are. I mean that result's not going to be good for us, as we're aware. And with all the, we're sitting
last minute, isn't it?
Yeah, we're sitting here talking with so much confidence, and we all know what can happen. It's happened before. And I just don't want to jump to conclusions, but we have to go into the season being a positive West Ham fans and hope for the best. You can probably tell I'm having a good drink. I'm having a right good drink here, and I'm feeling like I'm mixing up my words. So I'm just going to show you what I'm drinking. Well, maybe I shouldn't, because I can't be endorsing them, But
he's not the only one, because I'm halfway through a fry up, so I'm sort of that's why my head's going off screen every now and then, because I'm having a bite. Very unprofessional. But,
and a pint of Tango. Anyway,
it's a fruit twist actually. Fanta, still Fanta. Yeah.
So yeah, the Huddersfield by them scoring kind of puts us under a little bit more pressure. But like we've all said, if we get a good victory against Stoke, which we hope for, we can open up a really good gap. Comes to team selection, it looks like Joe Hart's going to start, no doubt. After last week's performance against Chelsea, still you'll like that one.
Mm-hmm. It's just as we talked about with Carroll. At the other end of the pitch, Hart has one good game, and all of a sudden, he's like, I saw it on social media. Where are the Hart haters now? Blah 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 blah. I mean, leave off. He's had one decent game all season, and I won't take anything away from him. He played great. But that's what we should have had from the beginning of the season with Hart, and then there'll be no dispute at all about the goalie situation. And I hope it's evident now that Hart will stay in goal for the rest of the season, which means that Adrian is going to be thinking long and hard about whether he signs that contract extension or not. However, it ain't enough, I don't think, for West Ham to turn around and say, right, we'll keep Hart permanently now. But I hope for Hart and for West Ham more than anything that he has the remaining games that we've got, he plays just as well. If he has a stinker on Monday night, then the knives will be out. But we praise him for what he did on Monday against Chelsea on Sunday. Absolutely. You can't praise him for the previous game because he didn't have a shot to save. But I hope he has a good game on Monday night.
Yeah.
That's all I can expect.
Look, really, when it comes down to team selection, do you see any changes? I mean, the realistic one will be the dropping of Fernandes, will it? Do you think? What's your thoughts?
I don't think we should. I think that it shouldn't change too much. Put it that way. As much as I don't like João Mario, this could be something. While Lanzini's coming back from fitness, he's not going to be match fit, regardless of getting over an actual physical injury. He should be need match fitness. So I wouldn't put him straight back in. I think Hernandez has to start, and I think it's going to be very telling of how Moyes actually goes about doing that. Whether he starts 4-4-2 or he puts an average as more of a wing role on the right hand side perhaps, and then Mascock on the left. I'm not too sure. But with the way it's going at the minute, all the players seem to be gelling well together. Rice, especially in defence, seems to be having the time of his life, getting nothing but praise from Zabaleta, for example. Just seems like one of them where you just, like I said earlier, you don't fix what ain't broken. But I can't see how putting Hernandez in makes it any worse, if you know what I mean. You can only kind of make it better. But then again, you have to have the setup around him better. So it's all swings around about. But for me, you don't change too many things, no.
Just to give you an update, Huddersfield have actually beaten Watford 1-0. Swansea have drew with Everton 1-1, so they've closed the gap against West Ham. But this, obviously, we're still lucky enough that the bottom three are sitting 5-6 points clear from that position. That just leaves the Burnley and Crystal Palace game. Looks like probably Crystal Palace will sneak through that as well. Let's go to predictions then for West Ham Stoke. Still,
I think we're going to win 3-0. I reckon.
It's a big one.
Yeah, I think we're going to do it. I think, I will be really, really, really surprised if we don't go at them. And I think, we could get like we said, Arnie will be at it. And I think we could get an early goal 15, 20 minutes in, and then we'll beat them easy, 3-0. Jesus, I've never been this comfortable about predicting. But, and I know if it falls flat on my face, I'll go and jump off the bloody London Stadium roof or whatever. But
easy.
3-0 for me. 3-0.
Listen, we know you can break into the stadium easy enough because there's a video going viral all over the internet about a couple of teenagers. So, look, 3-0 victory to West Ham from Stell. What about you?
Shoot my head off for this, but I'm going to go for this one big time, right? Our biggest win, I think, at this London Stadium so far has been 3-0. I don't think we got better than that yet. It's Grey National Day today at the time we're doing this, so gambling and going big is the vibe. So I'm going to go for a 5-0 win.
Wow.
Right. No, I'm not saying I think it's big 5-0, but I think we'll better 3-0. And if I'm going to say 4, why not say 5? I don't know, I can say 5, 6 or 7, but anyway. Right.
Arnie hat trick.
This is where I'm going with this. See, Still, you get this, right? And out of it's hat trick, because let's face it, in the last game at Stoke, he could have had about 4 or 5 if he had to shoot boots on, because Butland must have saved more than he's ever done in one game against him. Hernandez will start will score if he starts, and if we give him the right amount of. But then again, that's it. We ask, if it's all about Arnie, will he really want to be setting up Hernandez, or will he want to score the goals himself?
Of course he'll want to score himself.
Yeah. So it's like, well, he could be playing, but he could be let down by an average. But then I don't really care who scores. It's about West Ham, not them. Fuck them too. It's about West Ham. Right, 5-0, Arnie hat trick, Hernandez to score, and a Bono header. How about that? He's only got 4. Why not?
Oggy, Hammer of the Year, Oggy.
He's got to be, really, isn't it? He's got to be. Let's face it.
He's the most improved player there, as far as I'm concerned. What do you think, Ant?
Again, I can hold my hands up. Yeah, he is. He is the most improved player under David Moyes. But for me, when it comes to Hammer of the Year, I don't know. Hammer of the Year is a weird one for me, because I just like. I don't know, when it's a crap season, I don't know where my motivation.
Why give a Hammer of the Year?
My motivation. Bad bunch.
Yeah, I get it. It's like the player awards, you know. I don't know where I'm at with it because it's been such a crap couple of seasons. But anyway, if it for me currently it would be Arnautovic. But I'm going to give you my predictions. I've been wrong with my last 2 weeks' predictions, but I'm glad I've been wrong, and I'm going to hopefully continue this one. So I'm actually going to be quite negative, and I'm going to go for a 2-1 loss to West Ham, which is not good, but it might bring us back down to earth. But hopefully I'm wrong, and we continue my wrong guessing for the third week in a row.
Your new lucky charm, isn't it?
Hopefully.
Predicting a negative result, yeah.
Hopefully a 2-1 loss, and then we can see what happens. But all the results are in from the Premier League today. Crystal Palace have won. They've beat Brighton 3-2, thanks to the old favourite James Tompkins and the diving Zaha.
Did they get a pen?
No, just in general, he's just a diving Zaha.
Oh right, okay.
Wilfried Daly.
Yeah. Paul Ince's son come back to haunt West Ham in a weird way when he scored the last minute goal.
It's written in the stars, isn't it?
Scored a goal, and Huddersfield have beaten Watford 1-0. Burnley beat Leicester 2-1. And what are the other results? I'm just having a look. Swansea 1-0 with Everton. And obviously we know the results earlier today from Southampton. So it's now over to West Ham. Really, it's over to ourselves. Our fate lie in our own hands. Go 9 points clear from the bottom 3 with 5 games to go. Surely to God, nothing can go wrong. Surely to God, nothing can go wrong. I know, I'm sorry, but wow. That really comes to the end of our live preview with some scores, a bit kind of all over the place, but hey ho, that's just how it goes. Anyone else got any points they want to make before we go?
Go on, Luke.
Got to be something.
There's got to be something,
Luke.
No,
actually, no, because my fucking cold. Actually, so I'd rather end right now. Yeah, actually, yeah.
Just make sure you subscribe to our channel. Make sure you hit the thumbs up. Make sure you like us all on the Twitters, the Facebook. Follow the forum page on Facebook, which is called the West Ham Voice. And yeah, any questions you've got, just get in contact with us. We'll probably do a show coming up over the coming weeks about players we think that should go. Not players coming in, the ones that we'll go through all our squad really and do some new stuff. So we'll have.
Picking your nose.
You what?
What was that, mate?
Picking your nose. You're gonna be answer. What can you doing that? Sorry, I should have just.
Yeah. So any questions, get the comments in, and we'll get back to you. Make sure you subscribe to our channel. Oh, lastly, we have one more, albeit. It's just it's the home top from this season to give away. So I'll speak to the guys after and find out how we're going to give it away to the fans. I know you can go to the shop and buy it for a tenner, but we've got one. So why waste a tenner when you can get it for free? So we'll get that out to you as much as we can. Anyway, he's been Stell over in the far corner. Luke's in the middle. Tango Man eating his fry up, and I've been Anton. Come on, you irons.